need to see it. If the Penguins score a short-handed goal in today's game, you could win $1,250. Let's find out who's sitting in today's March Madness money seats.
Time of the goal, 4:30. Talbot is 8 from Stahl Christensen at 4:30.
Number 28, ready for hooking.
Washington penalty. Number 28, Alexander Semin, 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 5:36. Semin, 2 for hooking at 5:36. join the Penguins in thanking Dick's Sporting Goods for presenting tonight's Penguin posters. We appreciate your support.
If you're just tuning in, this is the NHL on Versus. In high definition from Pittsburgh, PA tonight, 1-0 for the Penguins. Maxime Talbot's 8th from Stahl and Christensen. As this is an icing call and a chance for us to step away. We'll get you back to Steeltown in a moment with Mike Green and the Caps on Versus.
It was the richest contract in NHL history, but what also made Alex Ovechkin's deal unique was he negotiated it without an agent. GM George McPhee calling it a delicate situation. He told me before the game, it's easier to say no to an agent than it is to a player. But he said, Ovechkin knew he wanted either a short contract or a really long one. In the end, for the Capitals, the 13-year deal sent a huge message to the fans in Washington. For Ovechkin, well, with no agent, he saved himself about $5 or $6 million in agent's fees. Not bad, eh, guys?
That's chump change. Come on now. Just a drop in the bucket. Amazing. Absolutely amazing the way the deal came together. As Pody works on the outside. The beginnings of the deal, in fact, how many deals have you negotiated in Paris? That's where George McPhee met Alex Ovechkin to start the discussions.
Well, the thing is, you wonder if it sets a trend. I mean, we've seen the long-term contract. That's a trend.
Backhand here. Fleischmann scores! Alone in front with some miscommunication. And the Caps tied at 1.
And that's a trend. Washington banging bodies down low and scoring goals. It was a cycle, but a broken cycle. You can see Sabrin got caught deep. It looked as if he thought it was going around. You could see he thought it was going to go all the way around one way, and it was in front of the net. The ITT Technical Institute goal cam shows you that Danny Sabrin was fooled. He was looking left, looking right, and the puck was sliding right between the pads. We're all square.
Darren, yourself an ex-NHL goaltender. I'm sure you could appreciate what Danny Sabrin was saying. Since he hasn't played all that much, he wants to get a feel for the puck early in these games and not have those hide-and-seek type windows that he just had to deal with.
No, he got caught deep because he was anticipating the puck going to his left. Frantically, he looked to his right. He didn't realize it had popped out in front of him. Sometimes as a goaltender, you're trying to track the puck. In that situation, he was, I thought, a little bit lax in terms of following where the play was going.
Jarkko Ruutu digging forward along the boards. It's bounced loose. Krister coming. And David Steckel didn't get through it. Broke the hockey stick in the process. Point position, Schultz. Jeff Tafe without his weapon. Still playing in defensive posture. Ryan Whitney will saucer this one to center. 8:20 to go in the opening period, and we are tied up at 1. A Pittsburgh team that has owned Washington over the last few years. They've won 6 straight in this series between one another.
Games have been close, though.
Very much so. 5 of those are 1-goal decisions.
And the other one, a 2-0 shutout that had an empty net goal associated with it. So close, but all going one way.
Brashear's wrister is eaten up by Danny Sabrin. We are 1-1 in Pittsburgh. Back to Hockey Central. Here's Bill Patrick.
Game-breaking goal. Penguins want to see it. Send us your best youth hockey highlight. You can have it shown on Jumbotron during a Penguins game or win hundreds of dollars in prizes. Look for the top 5 plays of youth hockey on PittsburghPenguins.com for complete details.
All righty, Bill, we'll be looking forward to that Dodge intermission report. Comes your way in just a little less than 8 minutes time on the game clock here at Mellon Arena, where the Penguins are slated to play until the 2010-11 season. Sikora scales it into the corner. The construction site for the new barn is right across the street.
Are you sure? You're going to knock down the wrong building today.
That would have been bad. Wrister from Pettinger, squeezed by Sabrin. There's no rebound. A trying season for Matt Pettinger. The numbers have just not been coming his way.
No. And this is a good bid. Snap cleanly. Sabrin, though, saw it all the way. No rebound.
Pettinger, who's had a 20-goal season in the past, was a disciple of Glenn Hanlon. And Glenn Hanlon shifted out of town, relieved of his head coaching duties when the Caps made the change to Bruce Boudreau. Darren, from what you see philosophically, how are they different now?
Well, they're much more aggressive. In talking to Boudreau, he said, up ice, a little more aggressive. Neutral zone, they certainly are.
Kolzig launching himself from the crease. The Superman cover-up there. Folks, this weekend on Versus, the best and brightest stars are on display for the annual NHL All-Star Weekend. Ovechkin, Gonchar, LeCavalier, Zetterberg, many more, set to show why they're the best of the best. It all starts Saturday, 7 Eastern Time from Atlanta.
Gonchar, All-Star season, certainly. And they're going to need more from him. We've talked about, in our open, we talked about Evgeny Malkin, Jordan Staal, but more offense from the back line. I think Sergei Gonchar realizes he's a big part of that.
He gets so much of his productivity from the power play, but there isn't a defenseman in the Eastern Conference with more points than Gonchar. Lidstrom and Rafalski have more, but they're out west. A penalty call is coming here. Sabrin's on the bench. 6 attackers on for Pittsburgh. Talbot shifting gears for Staal. Muscled by Urchina, all 235 pounds of him. As it's touched up, there's a whistle and a hooking call. Young Nicholas Backstrom on the season, just his 8th minor penalty.
Right side, reaches in under the arm, not much, kind of a stop and a redirect, but stick up under the arm, hooking the call. Talbot was leaving the zone.
Talbot has the tally for Pittsburgh. Fleischman for visiting Washington, and it's 1-1. Ryan Malone deking away from Tom Pody. Pody will see a lot of ice tonight. The Caps are missing Sean Morrison, who was injured in Washington's most recent victory over Florida when he blocked an Olli Jokinen shot.
And he's really been a pillar of strength back there on the blue line. One of the leaders, emerging leaders on the blue line for Bruce Boudreau and the Caps.
Evgeny Malkin shifting away from Erskine. Nimble move by a big man. Ryan Whitney working in from a point position. As this one squirts to the cage, Kolzig will cover it up.
Both these teams have some decent size. Malkin as well. 6'3", filling out that frame. Plays the game hard and fast, like Sidney Crosby. I mean, I think that's what sets them apart. What a 1-2 combination, either on the same line or now Malkin playing mostly in the middle, but deferring for this faceoff on the power play. Christensen in to take the draw.
Fabulous goal numbers in the last 8 games for Malkin, as you just saw graphically. Brooks Lake's been working a lot with Caps assistant coach Dean Evison to shorten that stroke when he tries to win faceoffs. It's been working very well for him in January. It didn't there, though. Whitney for Gonchar. Switch it. Malkin fires. Stick save. Kolzig and slugged away by Urchina.
That's just pure positioning by Kolzig. Got to the spot, made his move. Malkin just pounded it into the gear. You talked about Malkin since December 20th, right before Christmas. Nobody has scored more in the league. 13 goals in those 14 games.
Michel Therrien says he's more disciplined with the puck. finessed it out of the corner. Malkin fires, and Colza got the blocker pad on that. Whitney scoops it back behind the net. On the interchange, there's Christensen. Thumped again by Urchina. Gonchar trying to keep it in. Not able to do it that time. Caps changing their penalty killers, or at least partially changing them, as the Penguins maneuver in offside. Pittsburgh team that has a 2-1 victory over Washington this year. Malkin helped fashion a 4-3 overtime decision in late December here.
What about the meeting that Mike Terry and the coach was talking about? He even brought Sergei Gonchar in to serve as an interpreter. He wanted to make sure that Evgeny Malkin got all the messages correctly. And he said, I want him to take responsibility to be the leader as the best forward on this team. He said, but I don't want him to misconstrue that, to think that he has to do it by himself. In essence, he has to do what Sidney Crosby does, make those around him better. And I thought that was a very salient point, and one that certainly Malkin so far in the game plus that I've seen seems to be embracing.
Young star players tend to have an issue with learning to work with their line mates. Malkin's getting that education on the fly. Sador for Stahl. Speaking of youngsters, still 19. Sador's slapper was weakened by Quinton Lang and gloved out of the air by Kolzig. Break time for us for the NHL on Versus. 1-1 Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington Capitals in Pittsburgh tonight, trying to push themselves over 500. Under Bruce Boudreau's direction, how things have changed.
That record before was the worst in the National Hockey League at the time. Since that time, in that slice of 2016, fourth best in the National Hockey League. Big improvement on the offense.
So many of these players familiar with Bruce Boudreau from their time in the American Hockey League. Mike Green is one of those, and look how he's erupted.
In January, nobody has more goals and points from the blue line position. And that's part of it. And talking to Bruce Boudreau, he says, what do you expect from him? I just want him to be greeny. He said, I just want him to go. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. He has to play his style of game. And one of the greatest lines I've heard all season long from a coach, he said, yeah, we're going to make mistakes. He says, but we're going to make mistakes on our terms, not our opponent's terms. And that's when you talk about the difference, being aggressive in all situations.
Ovechkin's snapshot denied by Danny Sabrin. Once again, giving Ty Conklin the night off. Ovechkin fires this one right to the belly. Follow-up score! Victor Kozlov.
Good work on the cycle by the Capitals yet again. Kozlov benefits. 25, finds a soft space, gets behind Gonchar, and then beside Gonchar. But it's a setup right there. Big blast. Ovechkin to the belly, as you said, and then up over the arm by Kozlov. Goal cam view. What would you have done? I would have had my glove higher. Danny Sabrin, no chance of the ultra-skilled Victor Kozlov.
Victor Kozlov, 7 tallies on the season, 4 of them in this month of January. The Caps have not lost this year when that big man has scored. He and Sergei Gonchar are very, very close friends. They've known each other since they were teenagers playing in the European Championships in 1990.
Skill abounds for both of them. But on that one, Gonchar didn't know he was behind him, and then Kozlov was able to react to that puck quicker than Gonchar.
Another assist for Nicholas Backstrom as he teams up with Ovechkin in that regard to set up Kozlov, and the Caps have rallied back to a 1-goal advantage after falling behind by 1.
They had 8 points as a line in their last game as a trio. Well on their way again, having a big night.
Tangling with a Pittsburgh team that has sustained just 2 losses in its last dozen outings as you watch the players dig for it along the boards. Referees Hasenfratz and Kazari allow play to continue. Malkin looking to stash it at the near post. Malkin's back in, he scores! Evgeny Malkin!
Son, how big are your shoulders? They're this big. They're this wide. Get on my back and I'll carry you. Malkin in the middle on the backhand. Jukes jive won't be denied. Boyd Gordon, a very good defender, tries to stay with him. Kolzig couldn't see a thing. Nice screen set by Ryan Malone as well.
Malkin's 25th comes at 45 seconds after the Kozlov tally. And a high-scoring opening frame on Versus.
What an answer. What an answer. Two big boys. They're not there to really score goals, I don't think. They've tangled a couple times this year.
They have 4 times in their careers, and in both games this season, Laraque and Brashear have danced. Donald Brashear throwing his weight around. George Laraque is out there with Jarkko Ruutu and Jeff Tafe. Tafe named to the American Hockey League All-Star team. And fans of the AHL, when they look at these two rosters, they could see a lot of Hershey against Wilkes-Barre Scranton in recent seasons.
And even I was looking up some facts on the youngster Filowich making his NHL debut. He won the fastest skater at last year's AHL All-Star game. It gives you a little insight as to what he is all about. His main attribute.
Erskine to Brooks Light. Knocked down by the 20-year-old Chris Letang. Tafe playing it around Brashear and deflects off the rink for the stoppage in play with 2:15 to go in the opening period.
Hope you enjoy tonight's game.
Got lots of leadership. Brashear. Some of these guys that all these years, you're known for your fists, but you have to be able to play the game. You have to be able to skate in today's game. Donald Brashear, George Laraque, they both fit the bill and both count. Both decent on the forecheck.
Donald Brashear, who's trained with Joe Frazier in the past, and also with James Hoss Skelton of UFC. Joe Frazier battling brawlers. Down goes.
That's right.
Ryan Whitney on the lead. Whitney so pleased with his New England Patriots on their way back to the Super Bowl. This is a touch-up and an icing call against Pittsburgh, and the fans here protest. There's Tim Brent, late of the Anaheim Ducks.
Had a goal last year, 15 games. Trade this past summer. Steve Dixon sent to Anaheim. Tim Brent getting a chance to fill in and show what he can do at this level in a new organization.
Colby Armstrong out of the lineup. Gary Roberts out of the lineup. Tyler Kennedy missing. Adam Hall missing.
Saw Gary Roberts this morning. Broken leg. He was standing. He looked okay, but he wasn't moving. But that's a lot of leadership loss and then a lot of production. Colby Armstrong, Sidney Crosby, they formed 2/3 of the lineup with Evgeny Malkin, the top line of this team. So both teams riddled with injuries, but carrying on, finding a way to get it done.
Capitals continuing to miss their captain, Chris Clark. Strolling in, it's Christensen. Tried to cradle around Green, and Kolzig takes care of that. Michael Nylander out, Brian Pothier out, Sean Morrison all out injured tonight for Washington and White.
What about, we talked at the top of the show, I think it's one of the best stories in the league this year, and the league has had plenty of great stories. The renaissance of the Washington Capitals. They are a few points out of top spot in the Southeast Division. Say what you want about the Southeast Division, but this was a team, as you saw, with the graphic we had with Bruce Boudreau, 6-14-1 when he took over. Pretty much left for dead. No, they wouldn't quit, and now they're playing confident hockey.
Ovechkin 2-on-2 with Kozlov, a wrister that was weakened on the way by Sador. Jordan Stahl comes there to support. 60 seconds away from a Dodge intermission report. Backstrom slides it softly for Ovechkin, double teamed along the boards. Victor Kozlov hooks one on. Schultz peppered it towards the goal, sprinkled back out of there by Sador, and Talbot will dump it deep to get the line change for Coach Terrien. Washington unofficially out shooting Pittsburgh 9-6 in a game that's tied up at 2. Alex Ovechkin keeping an eye on Sikora. The indirect for Malkin. Hops to the inside. Evgeny Malkin kicks it from skate to stick. Drilled by Ovechkin, who went soaring into the boards.
Malkin saw him coming. Roommates from the Olympics. They look too friendly there.
Ovechkin took the worst of that, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. Over comes Malkin. He saw him coming, and he wanted more of them.
Malkin and Ovechkin were roommates in Torino. And they are yammering at one another right now.
They didn't stay in Ribery, though, did they?
Not quite. Not quite.
Not like me and you. This is unbelievable. Just that he saw him coming and then was able to miss most of it. just got his left shoulder down. I'm not so sure he saw everything. Little peek. Whoa.
Alex Ovechkin, of course, known for his pyrotechnics when it comes to goal scoring, also delivers some of the biggest hits in the league. He did not get Malkin nearly to the degree he wanted to there, and he paid for it. And now Poti is pushing and shoving behind the play with Jarkko Ruutu. And as the seconds tick off in period number 1, those two need to be separated. They still haven't been, as the buzzer sounds, ending 20 minutes. Things getting very interesting inside of Mellon Arena. Tied up at 2. Ovechkin and the Caps coming to town, trying to end a losing skid against the Penguins. The Dodge Intermission Report is coming your way. Bill Patrick, Keith Jones, Brian Engblom in charge back at Hockey Central. All things considered, it's not crazy cold in Pittsburgh. Russian versus Russian, yeah, sure. Ovechkin against Malkin in that regard, at least at the top of the marquee. And after 20 minutes, tied up at 2, and Evgeny Malkin at the top of the scouting list.
And he left his mark in this game right from the outset. Every time he had the puck, he made something happen, including tying the game up 45 seconds. Oh, and just avoiding that hit by Alexander Ovechkin, then coming over and asking for a little piece of him. He was able to tie that game up 45 seconds after they had scored. The three guys we talked about at the top, Joe, all having an impact in that first period.
Pittsburgh dealing with the loss of injured superstar Sidney Crosby. And if you missed it during the first period, our Chris Simpson reporting that a further evaluation on Sidney's injured ankle will come tomorrow. Alex Ovechkin missing his arch rival. At the end of the first period, Jarkko Ruutu was assessed a 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Jarkko turned Barco. He was barking at the officials, anybody who'd listen, and they teed him up. Into the box for 2 minutes, Caps on their first power play.
On the fresh ice sheet, Ovechkin leads the NHL in terms of power play goals. He's got the puck right now. Works in, and he's hearing some boo birds. To the front, ushered away by Danny Sabrin. Sabrin in the nets for Pittsburgh. Ole Kolzig getting the call for Washington. Jordan Staal angles his way back through center. Staal ever dangerous when shorthanded. Remember all those shorties he had last season in his rookie year as an 18-year-old.
I think that took the pressure off him offensively as well, because it was unexpected that he would make the team. Unexpected he would be so prolific shorthanded. And he had such a fine season, and this year that hasn't happened shorthanded. It hasn't happened overall for Jordan Staal.
Darryl Sador will clear. His production's way off. 16 goals this time last year to just 5 for now. Mike Green challenged by Maxime Talbot. At center, Ryan Whitney will control and be content to drive Washington back into its own end. The Caps have won once in their last 10 trips to Pittsburgh. Fleischmann, who tallied in the opening period. Scuderi keeps it rolling around the boards. Green has to give some ground. Malone forced him off the line. The creative Alexander Semin wheels in. Serves it for Green. Rink wide, it comes right back for Semin. Through the seam again, deflected by Malone. 20 seconds on the Washington power play. Backstrom, saucer pass. Fleischmann to the front, backdoor, score! Ovechkin with a lollipop shot.
Sabrin has been terrific for the Pens everywhere but on home ice. And this parabola shot goes up and over his right shoulder. He's down and deep. He's not moving real crisply. Great feed, though, across the ice to Ovechkin. Sabrin just one win on home ice this year. He's been great on the road. Ovechkin's been great everywhere. 37th, tied for the league lead now with Atlanta's Ilya Kovalchuk. But Sabrin has struggled on home ice, and he seems to be struggling a bit here this evening.
Ty Conklin with the injured Marc-Andre Fleury. Conklin has taken the #1 reins here for Michel Therrien. Danny Sabrin had those for a while in December while Fleury was initially on the shelf.
Different mindset. He backed up last year, did Danny Sabrin, almost getting into very few games, almost exclusively a backup and a bench rider behind Roberto Luongo for the Vancouver Canucks. He learned some lessons there, he was telling us this morning, which you have to give the youngster credit. He was trying to find positive while not playing. He said you have to come to practice with an intensity level. You can't fool around, and then there's a difference when you're the starter again. So a little stretch that he did have as a starter here, he learned some things there.
Bradley working the wall. Brashear fires right to the gloved hand of Sabrin, and he'll hold on. Let's check in with Chris Simpson. She had the chance to catch up with the Caps coaching staff.
Yeah, Joe, I spoke to Capitals assistant coach Dean Evison after the first. He felt they need to work on their defensive zone coverage. It seems every mistake they made resulted in a Penguins goal. But he said the whole room was still talking about Ovechkin's hit on Malkin. He said it was riling everybody up. He just hopes it fires up Alex more than it does Evgeny. And by the looks of that smile and that goal, it may just have. Joe?
He plays with such an emotion.
It's interesting, though, if Malkin doesn't have that world-class vision, and, is that a hit that the league would be looking at?
The hit reminds me of a guy here in Pittsburgh who's not in the lineup tonight. Colby Armstrong delivers hits like that, where the guy's hiding back behind the net. He times it just right, freight trains guys. Ovechkin was trying to do that to his fellow countrymen. Didn't get the brunt of it, and went sailing into the boards in the process.
Colby Armstrong has laid out a few players, and again, world-class player, Saku Koivu, Montreal just avoided serious injury from a Colby Armstrong hit. It's going to be a penalty. Big forecheck. Holding's the call.
At 3 minutes and 18 seconds.
Offensive zone penalty, though. Brooks like. Coach Bruce Boudreau won't like that at all. Fumble with the puck. Reach around inside with the left arm. Eric Christensen. Some distress. Now Brooks Lake puts Pittsburgh in a situation where they can come back yet again.
It's one of those double-edged swords as David Steckel works in. Like is one of Washington's top penalty killers.
Right.
Sergei Gonchar coordinates the breakout. On the wing for Malone. Snap pass to Evgeny Malkin. Drive, he scores! Evgeny Malkin to the roof.
Malkin is the man. The Russian superstar's putting on a display. All kinds of room. Perfect shot. We talked about Olaf Kolzig has never had much luck against the Penguins. Danny Sebrin at the other, never had much luck this year so far on home ice. Shooters capitalizing.
Darren, what is it that gives players like Malkin and Ovechkin the knack to shoot through defensemen as screens like that?
Well, first of all, the defensemen back off against guys like that more than anybody else because they're afraid of getting beaten one-on-one. So they're able to get their shot in position. They hide it while they disguise it while they have a quick release. But they have just that little bit more of a cushion than most other shooters. And they make the most of it.
This game continues to go back on the teeter-totter with the NHL on Versus, and Evgeny Malkin a week ago on Versus, he bagged 3.
Walks to the top. Sidney Crosby, great fit, great save, good follow. Malkin and then into an empty net. Hats to the ice for Gino, as they call him. Big smile. Malkin delivering.
Malkin selected 2nd overall in the 04 draft. The only guy taken higher was Ovechkin. Stahl working back in, caught there on the back check by Pody. Counter-punching, this is Victor Kozlov. Crisscrossing with Ovechkin, drive, and that's Scorcher. Got the glass.
In all fairness to the goalies, these guys are getting some good looks from the prime real estate. Scoring area right between the hash marks.
Ovechkin cradles it between defenders. Lost the handle, and now he'll have to give chase. As we move towards the 5-minute mark of the second period, this is the NHL on Versus. So glad you've tuned in there with us. We are available in high definition. Joe Beninati, Darren Elliott, Chris Simpson, your announce team. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew helping out in Pittsburgh tonight. Green, a wonderful first step. His wrister was spoiled by Whitney and put off the ring.
Tonight's attendance is brought to you by NetExperts.
Mike Green has the ability to lead defenders in the lurch with a head fake and good stick and shoulder fakes.
Good skater. Another one of the many picks Washington Capitals taken in the first round over the last several years. 29th overall. 04 draft. pretty good draft.
Sure is now when you think back for Ovechkin and Schultz and Green.
Yeah.
Bruce Boudreau's not afraid to use Mike Green. 31 minutes last week against Edmonton in the game that went to OT.
Yeah, isn't that funny, though? It's like, no matter what job you're in, if a boss is there and you're a favorite, it's good. Boss leaves, suddenly someone comes in, you might not be a favorite any longer. That's what's going on. Pros and cons. We talk about Pettinger, maybe not so much in like he was before. A guy like Green, it's like, hey, Coach Boudreau, he gives us all confidence. Maybe not all, but certainly it is for him.
Scuderi brushed it back to center. Filowich and Menard and Brent on the ice in black for Pittsburgh. And Penguins fans have got to be going, excuse me, who exactly are they? All making debuts of some sorts, either NHL or in Pittsburgh overall.
Menard and Brent actually played half a season of junior hockey together.
Semin with a beautiful toe drag, a wrister that was stopped by Savarin. Those guys have good American Hockey League scoring numbers, particularly Menard with his great shot. There's a whistle and a penalty call coming. The infraction is high sticking.
Come on, PP.
That Semin's second
Watching the penalty.
infraction
Number 28, high sticking.
in the game. Neither of the necessary variety. Just a carelessness. You can see how that happens. You go to stop firmly. He kind of does this stop and slide and lazy with the stick.
That laziness cost him a lot of high-sticking calls.
Washington
Among the NHL leaders in that
number 28,
regard.
Alexander Semin.
Alexander
2 minutes for
Semin.
high sticking.
Gotcha working a power play point.
That'll drive coaches crazy.
2 for high
It will.
sticking at 5:55.
Gonchar surveys the situation. He'll choose Whitney. Slap pass is beautiful. They score! A phenomenal-looking play for Peter Sikora.
So there's one of the alterations. Usually it's Whitney on the receiving end of a pass low to high from Sidney Crosby. Same seam, different result. This time Whitney high to low to Peter Sikora. Our ITT Technical Institute goal cam shows you no chance for Olaf Kolzig.
14 goals on the year for Sikora, the 31-year-old native of the Czech Republic. 8 of them have come on the power play.
Specialist?
Number 17.
Put you in the specialist category, Joe?
I should think. And with Crosby out, he leads the team in assists this month. There he called his own number, and that was set up splendidly by Ryan Whitney.
And what Whitney usually is the one diving down and shooting from the other configuration. This time it goes left to right to Sikora. Beautiful, beautiful goal.
Quinton Lang fires. That's blocked by the sprawling Brooks Orpik. Last team with the puck's going to win it tonight, apparently. It's 4-3 Pittsburgh.
Street hockey games. Games up to 10. His mom calls him in for dinner.
As the fans at Mellon serenade Ole Kolzig. Down the wing, Talbot closing. Brister, he tried to go high, he just missed it. Rutu lost the handle. Steve Eminger, who's played sparingly this season, took a stumble there. Sador through the screen and a pad save for Kolzig. Nearing the 8-minute mark of a wide-open hockey game in the second period. This is offside against Pittsburgh. The scoring opening up again here in the middle frame. Ovechkin first. Russian countryman Evgeny Malkin responds. And then Sikora with a layup to give Pittsburgh the advantage. Longtime New Jersey Devil threat, giving the Penguins the 4-3 advantage with the NHL on Versus. Our continuing coverage of the NHL leading up to the All-Star festivities this weekend. All of us at Versus very much looking forward to how the event will unfold in Atlanta.
Some events going on there. Where's the All-Star game?
You're going to be busy, from what I understand.
Where's the real unique situation going on with the alumni? We got a wine tasting, you can believe it.
No.
Tim Heckelstone's established.
I know you didn't organize that. That's not your favorite brand.
But it's TJ Sports Bar. I mean, the collection of Hall of Famers is unbelievable.
Backstrom for Ovechkin. Bullseye. The third assist for Backstrom on the night, and Ovechkin takes the NHL scoring lead.
From wine tasting to goal tasting, Ovechkin. Beautiful feed from Backstrom. But the ability to take that pass, saucer, beautiful, but the timing, people think that lots of hours aren't spent practicing. I watched Alexander Ovechkin practice that for 15 minutes before, at the end of practice this morning, before he left the ice. The very move. He got perfect leverage. What a shot in this game. One goalie gone. In comes Conklin, and that's not surprising. Great shots, though. Great goals. Not great goaltending.
Danny Sabrin yielding 4 on just 13 shots unofficially, and Ty Conklin, who's been magic since coming up from the AHL Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, will come on in relief. 15 goals in the last 15 games for the great number 8. And how about Nicholas Backstrom with 7 helpers in the last 2 outings?
Well, playing with Ovechkin. This is what we were talking about in the first period. That rookie race, similar to last year, as you mentioned.
Paul Stastny in the last 2 months.
Exactly.
Colorado was battling for a playoff position.
Malkin catching up to him.
Malkin outlasted him to win the award. Pettinger back behind the net. Little wraparound feed that was blocked. 4-4, and we are not yet halfway through regulation at the Igloo tonight with the NHL on Versus. Larocque did not clear. Gonchar will, with the help of Christensen. Bump set off for Larocque, surrounded there by 2 sweaters from DC. Caps will have to play it there, as this was played with a high stick for the whistle.
So to finish that up, playing with Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom has a chance to do likewise and catch up to Patrick Kane, who, by most people's assessment, rookie of the year so far in the first half. But Backstrom is going to pick up a ton of points, not just because he's playing with Ovechkin, because he's a very skilled player in his own right. But now you have somebody who's going to cash in, and right now they have instant chemistry the last couple of games. And there's Danny Sabrin. Could find no chemistry tonight.
His pride smarting a little bit as he stands in that dressing room tunnel.
We enumerated just 1 win at home this year, so he's had a house of horrors. On the road, his save percentage is over 92%. Here, now well under 88%.
Where he has lost his last 4 decisions at Mellon Arena. Conklin finds Letang, swivels away from the forecheck of Boyd Gordon. Behind the net for Thomas Fleischmann, who has a goal and an assist this evening. Eminger joining the cycle. Eminger blocked down by Conklin. Semin rifles one off the boot of Orpik. It's loose in front and it trickles wide. Penguins looking to play clear. Malkin doing the honors. Erskine, too strong for Alex Semin. Semin reels it back in. Alexander Semin jumping to the inside. Well played by the youngster Letang.
Boy, you're right, Semin. He only keeps the stick on the edge and the puck's on his stick. Otherwise, he carries it like it's a lacrosse stick.
It's a high-scoring game. It's a heavy-hitting game. Players throwing their bodies around. Ovechkin bracing himself for the hit there from Malone, which never came. As Kolzig swats it into the corner. Backstrom channels it on for Victor Kozlov. Creamed along the boards there. Jarkko Ruutu got him. Schultz, Ruutu again like a guided missile after him. Backstrom joining the rush late. From skate to stick, getting fancy. 20-year-old Swede just oozing with confidence now. Made a bad pass there, though. Sador picked it away, and Ruutu dumps it in.
He did force it, but it was fun watching him get to that point.
Talbot, all by his lonesome. Blocked away by Urchina. Stahl to help. Jordan Stahl. Warded to the corner by Backstrom. 5-on-5 they play. 4-4 in the hockey game with 8:55 to go in the second period. Ovechkin full blast down the wing with Kozlov. That drive was nullified by Sador. Counterattack by Talbot at the tail end of his shift. He'll play it in deep to get the change. Green Racing back through center. To the wing for Quinton Lang. Punished in the corner there by Gonchar. 4 in the scrum. Larocque comes out of there with it. David Steckel will intercept that pass as the Caps regroup nicely. Steckel, one look. Stopped by Conklin there. Bradley sent it on the way. There's a penalty call to come. 4-4. And Ovechkin having fun on Versus. It's 4-4 in Pittsburgh, and Alex Ovechkin's night, Darren, began with a bang and has continued from there.
Impact player, you might say, in more ways than one. Hitting, shooting, gets the assist on that one, Victor Kozlov, and hitting. Malkin missed most of it. Little floater that goes in, and this one, a thing of skill and beauty. Alexander Ovechkin dominating this hockey game.
Goals now in 5 straight outings, his career best. Back in that splendid rookie season, he had goals in 7 straight. Green gives it. Ovechkin with a head-hunting blast there. Conklin low-bridged. Washington on the power play. Victor Kozlov on the interchange for Backstrom, who has 3 assists in this game, 7 in his last 2. Ovechkin to the front, looking for the deflection try. Conklin beat Kozlov. Mike Green taps it in tight quarters for Backstrom, trying to play it around Jordan Staal. Backstrom creeping closer. Sador stepped out. Semin tried to go backdoor Kozlov. They jammed for it. It's played to the boards. There's Mike Green. Quarterbacking things for Ovechkin. Stick save. Conklin high in the air. It dribbles below the goal line. Green's alone. Fires. That was rejected in front. 7:20 to go in a wild second period. 4-4 with the NHL on Versus. Ovechkin shuffles for Kozlov. Malone and Whitney keeping an eye on him. Semin back for Kozlov. Skips it. Ovechkin to the front. Ryan Whitney clamps onto it. Whitney has time and space enough to clear.
Well run. Power play. Zone time looks. Pittsburgh hanging on, finally gets the clear.
Mellon Arena seats just about 17,000 for NHL action. They are having a blast with this one tonight. Hope you are too with the NHL on Versus. Available in high definition. Washington in white. On the power play, another 20 ticks. Light spins on Letang. He'll choose Boyd Gordon. Letang fencing with Gordon along the boards. Like is next. Switching sides, Gonchar makes the takeaway. Sergei Gonchar didn't get it out just yet. Fleischmann maneuvers down the wing. Scuderi is out of the penalty box right now. The Penguins survive, and Scuderi will clear so that Michel Therrien can change him up on the fly. 6 minutes away from a Verizon Wireless intermission report. With the NHL on Versus, Gordon will take it, and Conklin will squeeze. It's 4-4, and this is your Dodge storyline.
We talked about all these guys that are open. Staal assists on the first one. Malkin, fabulous in his own right. Countryman, Alexander Ovechkin, they're putting on a show together, collectively, and individually. Second period belongs to Alexander Ovechkin, the Washington Capitals, Joe.
Ovechkin and Malkin right there since the tail end of December when it comes to goal-scoring leaders. They have been so important to their respective teams. There's a glass problem here at Mellon Arena. With the operations crew on the ice, it's a chance for us to catch our breath for a moment. We'll get you back with more. 4-4, Penguins, Caps on Versus. Bill, very, very nice. A break in the action, quite literally. Break in the plexiglass behind the net, guarded by Ty Conklin, who's taken over for Danny Sabrin, came on in relief after the Caps pumped 4 past Sabrin. Conklin has had magical numbers since he's returned to the big leagues.
And you take a look at that kind of record on home ice, and coaches sometimes get all wrapped up. Remember we talked about the thought process of Mike Therrien? Danny Sabrin has a shutout. I'll start him. I can't take him out. Conklin's been virtually unbeatable. Sabrin, on the other hand, has struggled and continued to struggle on home ice here tonight. But Conklin, a revelation, and that's really been league-wide. Lots of guys having their careers resurrected in their second, third, and maybe last chances.
Last time Conklin was on Versus, he had 43 saves, a career high in a win over the Rangers. This weekend on Versus, best and brightest on display. Ovechkin and Gonchar, LeCavalier, Zetterberg, so many more, set to show why they're the best of the best. It all starts Saturday, 7 Eastern Time from Phillips Arena in Atlanta, the All-Star Classic.
And as you mentioned, all kinds of events. Kicks off unofficially Thursday, as I was talking about, the NHL Alumni Signature Wine Series. Gonchar will be there. Youth Tournament, Junior NHL Southeast. DC will be represented. Junior Capitals. And, all kinds of stuff going on. You got the rock and skate. How about Evgeny Malkin? Maybe he's going to be in the middle of it.
Yeah, the speculation continues. Should Sidney Crosby be out of the All-Star festivities, and by all indications he will be, there is speculation that Malkin will be named to replace the Pens captain.
Most points of any non-All-Star.
Orpik running down the flank. Trickles it below the goal line for Evgeny Malkin. His pass goes unanswered. Matt Bradley sends it out for Quinton Lang. Plays it, bounced beautifully there, and Bradley zipped it wide. A set play. Malkin working for Malone. Malone powers wide, threw it right through the blue paint. Sikora, who has struck on the power play here in the second period, feeds Malone. He'll serve it to Malkin. Schultz steering him to the boards. Just over 5 minutes to go, second period. Letang looking for the deflection. Schultz wraps it off the wall, right to the waiting Matt Bradley. Bruce Boudreau wants the change for the Capitals. Caps coming in third in the Southeast Division. Just 2 points behind Atlanta in the race. Carolina with a huge come-from-behind victory today. A matinee on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Down the stretch, that's what it was so hard to predict, Joe. That's a 3-point game. It was a big win by Carolina, but a point by the Islanders as well in the big picture of the Eastern Conference race.
Canes hoping that they've got their game in order. They had won just 2 of 10 before they throttled Edmonton back on Friday. And then they get that thriller today.
Up and down, the entire league had fits and starts. Inconsistent, to be sure, other than the Detroit Red Wings. With a couple of veterans. Part of the reason, I think, is because so many teams now have young players in positions of prominence, and young players are more prone to inconsistency. So their teams go and follow that arc along with them.
Whistle and a penalty call. A hook off the exchange of the draw. Referees tonight, Hasenfratz and Kazari.
Ryan Whitney called for hooking.
Number 19, traditional hooking.
Certainly holding. Ryan Whitney doesn't have much of a case as he was draped all over his man. Tarian doesn't like the call, but what coach does.
Washington Capitals power play, Darren, is blistering hot. 7 of the last 19.
See why. They're confident right now. They're moving the puck, and they're not afraid to shoot.
Victor Kozlov playing hide and seek behind the net. Green in a point position. Winds and fires. Conklin makes the save. Just over 4 minutes to go in the second period. NHL on Versus tonight and tomorrow night just the same. More on that matchup in a moment. The penalty call coming here against Washington. Bye-bye power play. The NHL is on Versus tomorrow. That's Tuesday. An original 6 battle between Northeast Division rivals Zdeno Chara and the Bruins squaring off against Alex Kovalev and the Canadiens. Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, only on Versus. Montreal has beaten Boston 5 straight times this year. Guy Carbonneau's team is playing quite well.
They really are. So are the Bruins, and beating on the play was Mike Green. You have to go and turn and go after the puck. You can't derail the path of the oncoming pursuer. That was Ryan Malone. Green sits for that. Interference is the call.
So we'll see the Bruins and the Canadiens tomorrow on Versus, a Boston team that took 2 matinees from the Rangers over the weekend. 4-on-4 hockey here in Pittsburgh. Tail end of the second period in a 4-4 game. Scuderi Leaves it for Malkin. Guarded by Boyd Gordon. Malkin makes the strip. Evgeny Malkin. Oh, that's beautiful. Talbot jumping in. Poke check at the last instant. The long reach of Cody saved the day.
Did, but Talbot had to recognize that move by Malkin. He beat 3 defenders who converged on him. Talbot had a clear lane. He has to take that lane. That was one pass too many, especially in a 4-on-4 configuration.
The Penguins will have an abbreviated power play in 40 seconds. Gonchar to Christensen. Christensen to the front. Jordan Stahl's stick was tied up. Schultz looking to reverse. Chipped it for Nicholas Backstrom. Backstrom was the NHL's Rookie of the Month in December. He's been quite good in January, too.
Yes, he has been.
Alex Ovechkin tied up along the boards. Ovechkin breaks loose. Threw some sauce on that, and Jordan Stahl says, no, you don't.
Think about Backstrom playing with Ovechkin. Backstrom's skill is holding onto the puck and waiting for the player to get open. Oh, that's Ovechkin's skill as well, to get open without the puck.
Capitals'
good chemistry.
Top Swedish playmaker is Michael Nylander, done for the year more than likely. After rotator cuff surgery, he found out he had a torn labrum as well. Successful surgery completed last week.
That's what I mean. You knit all these storylines of the Washington Capitals together. Coaching change, Mike Green, Ovechkin contract, overcoming injuries. Olaf Holzig speaks out. It's one of the most intriguing stories of the season in total.
There has never been a team in NHL history at the midpoint of the season that was 14th or 15th in the conference to make the playoffs. The Capitals would like to be the first. Urchina over the head of Scuderi, less than 2 to go in period 2. Conklin moves it well. Malone boots it for Sikora. Sikora places it south of the goal line. Malkin shouldered there by Schultz. Evgeny Malkin, a pair of goals for himself tonight, numbers 25 and 26. John Erskine rams it off the wall, but not free of Scuderi. Sikora goes glass. Tafe right in there to body up on Schultz. Alex Semin, who has goals in 4 straight games, plays for Boyd Gordon, and he'll dump it in. Back to even in full strength 5-on-5. Just moments away from a Verizon Wireless intermission report. Just a few seconds from now, going back to Hockey Central. Tafe knifing between defenders. Cody canceled that rush. Larocque keeps it in the corner.
Period. 1 minute.
Semin sidesteps 1 4-checker. Dekes by another. Alex Semin fires. That's deflected by Orpik. Erskine puts it on the lip of the boards with 40 seconds to go in period 2. Green moseys in, delays, gets help from Semin, right to the front. Big stop there by Conklin.
We saw 2 things. Why Green has been so successful as an offensive defenseman, and why Ty Conklin has been so valuable to the Pittsburgh Penguins, with Marc-Andre Fleury out with a high ankle sprain.
He's Darren Elliott, Chris Simpson's ringside. I'm Joe Beninati. Glad you've tuned in. It's a very entertaining hockey game in Pittsburgh. 13 seconds to go in period 2. Brashear finagles out of the corner for Kozlov, off the head fake away from Stahl, looking to stuff. Ryan Whitney met him at the post. 2 seconds now, 1. Whoa! Another collision along the boards. Puts an end to an active second period.
Isn't that how the first period ended? Stahl was going to be hit. Instead, he turned the tables. Sent Brashear flying and flailing.
A few moments ago, it was Mike Green and Alex Semin hooking up.
Right down the middle. Semin gets in off of Green, and there's Brashear going to lay it on the youngster Stahl? I don't think so.
All of the elements in place for a very, very interesting third period. Alex Ovechkin has a pair. Washington and Pittsburgh are deadlocked at 4 as the Penguins get a breather. We send you back to the studio. The Verizon Wireless Intermission Report. Bill, Keith, and Brian on Versus. Pittsburgh lit up nice and pretty, and these two have been able to light up on the scoreboard tonight.
Have not disappointed. Malkin, couple of goals. He has 4 of the 7 scoring chances. Alexander Ovechkin leads all shooters with 7 shots on goal.
As the third period begins, we welcome the men and women watching in uniform all around the world. 176 countries, 200 ships at sea. American Forces Network as the Caps have an early chance. Conklin sprawls to deny. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for us to help entertain you while you do such courageous work for us and for our nation. Just tuning in, Pittsburgh in the black here at home, where they have lorded over the Washington Capitals through the years. Involved in a 4-4 struggle tonight with the visiting Caps from D.C. Matt Bradley up in arms rudely with Chris Letang. This Pittsburgh team, they'll be in Philadelphia Thursday. Speaking of a rude matchup, that has turned out to be some rivalry in the last few years, just building and building.
Scrambly start to this one for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Caps, on the other hand, good bid early on. Trying to make things happen against a Pittsburgh team that Mike Turner says, we have to play tight checking with Sidney Crosby out. Well, they did that on the road against Montreal Canadiens. That hasn't been the case here.
Mike Green putting a stall to that Pittsburgh rush. And we review Malkin and Ovechkin tonight.
Beautiful backhand. Malkin wouldn't be denied in the first. High wrister in the second. Ovechkin wouldn't be outdone. One-timer chipped it home. And then ripped one home. As Peter Sikora said when he visited with Chris, between periods, whoever scores a hat trick, I guess that's the team who's going to win. Maybe prescient, we'll find out.
Those two, deservedly so, got top billing tonight, and they have not disappointed one iota. Sergei Gonchar working on the back line for Pittsburgh, takes the handoff from Ty Conklin. Conklin did not start this game for Pittsburgh. He came on in relief of Danny Savarin, who was pierced for 4 goals by the Caps on 13 shots.
Yet he's the goaltender of record because he came into a tie game, which is a rarity. You don't usually see a guy pulled in a tie game. But Ty came into the game, and Conklin has shut the door. That's exactly what you're supposed to when you're tapped on the shoulder mid-game as a goaltender.
This is Conklin. He's got it surrounded. For Scuderi to begin the control breakout. Early stages, third period, deadlocked at 4. Pittsburgh has managed to put 4 past Ole Kolzig on just 11 shots on goal. Ryan Whitney snaps it across rink. On the lead through George Laraque, it'll come the length. Kolzig waiting for it to get into that trapezoid. Yurchina, he'll try the other side. Alex Semin forced deep by Darryl Sador. Washington playing without Sean Morrison tonight. Penguins missing a number of offensive players up front, led by their captain and scoring leader, Sidney Crosby, who's expected to get further testing on his injured ankle tomorrow.
Just flow back and forth here, nobody wanting to make a mistake. A veteran like Kolzig, though, 4 goals on 11 shots, but he knows it's a winnable situation. He can play 20 good minutes and get the win, and that's all that matters. It's kind of been his season, right, Joe? His save percentage, goals against, not great, but 16 wins on the season.
As Brooks Spike works down the boards, it's ruled offside against Washington. Here's Chris Simpson. She has a report from the Pittsburgh camp.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I spoke to Penguins assistant coach Mike Yeo at the intermission. He said there are 2 things we need to do better in order to win this game. 1, we need to stay out of the box. 2, we need to contain Alex Ovechkin by taking his time and space away. Guys, I think you can guess which of those is easier said than done.
Master of the obvious.
Yeah, I was going to say, did he give you any tips on how exactly we're going to do that with Ovechkin especially? Stay out of the box. Yeah, move your feet. Don't get trapped. That's all easily done. Containing Ovechkin, not so simple.
2 teams slowing the tempo here at the outset of the third period. Ryan Malone's posted up at center. Orpik chips it along the boards. On the run, this is Malkin. Closing in. Kolzig makes the big save.
That's what I'm talking about. Malkin in for the hat trick. Would have been his second in a week. Kolzig, no rhythm, no shots, except a bunch of great goals going by him. Winnable situation. Veterans step up. Kolzig with a big save. Here's our ITT Technical Institute goal cam. Shows it Olaf Kolzig closed down. That triangle, the cavity, no holes under the arms. Good save there.
No room. The puck was put off the rink by a Capital defender, but it was deflected. Therefore, there was no delay of game, and the faceoff was outside. Backstrom takes the handoff from Eminger. Plays it further still for Victor Kozlov. Kozlov with goals in back-to-back games, as he was on the board for Washington, gave the Caps a 2-1 lead when he tallied in the opening period. These teams have gone back and forth throughout the night. Nicholas Backstrom ridden to the boards by Gonchar. Scuderi comes to call on him. And then Gonchar goes glass to get it back onto the Washington side of the table. Cody on the hop. Around for Victor Kozlov. Board to board, this is Ovechkin. Wrister right to the breadbasket of Conklin. There's no rebound. Nicholas Backstrom has 3 assists tonight in different variety.
Well, the patience. There's just a cycle. He gets it to the spot. All 3 guys touch the puck on that line. Kozlov finally with the rebound. Beautiful feed across the seam, and that was even a better one. The sauce pass right to left. Backhand, forehand. Playing with Kozlov, playing with Ovechkin. The kid Backstrom has the kind of game that's perfect for them because he's so patient with the puck.
Adam Oates back in 2000. Last guy to have 7 assists in 2 games.
And already as a 20-year-old, and you're already mentioned.
Long point drive, score! Washed out. Washed out immediately by the referee, Mike Hasenfratz.
Oh boy, talk about double and triple jeopardy. So we mentioned the same breath as Adam Oates. That's the good news. And then your team gets one washed out. You can see, top left of your screen, immediately the hand goes up.
It was Matt Bradley who was trying to run a little legal interference. He got the stick to the midsection. He gets the gate for a hook.
You have to really sell that now a little more subtly than that. Stick up in the air, you use it for leverage in any form or fashion. You're going to get whistled. And Bradley did. Takes one off the board, Joe.
Penguins down already with a pair of power play goals. Evgeny Malkin for Sergei Gonchar. Score! Now Kolzig wants the washout sign. And the officials are going to need video review. As the Penguins celebrate, the referees huddle up.
And I think Olaf Kolzig's looking for a high stick call on the deflection. The wrister on the way to the net. We talked about this power play without Sidney Crosby, more of a shooting situation. Good to me, first blush. But Gonchar, that's his first shot on the power play. He has 2 assists already.
Sikora and Malone were the guys in front trying to impair the vision of Kolzig.
Olaf Kolzig was quicker with the washout than he was with the glove to stop the deflection. What a night for the goaltenders. Good night to be something else.
Oh, I'll say. Referee Steve Kazari is on the phone with the video goal judge Jim Weaver. They are also getting help by now, I would think, from the video review room in Toronto.
Certainly.
Should it stand, Pittsburgh has the advantage by 1 in the third. Michel Therrien wants that to be the case.
What a turn of events as well. One taken off the board at one end. You go right down to the power play and potentially take the lead. You would potentially fall behind by 1. Don't forget the line of demarcation. The line of demarcation is the crossbar. There's number 17, Peter Sikora. Boy, oh boy, that's...
Still can't tell from that angle whether the puck was ever directed by anybody's stick.
Well, it ended up in the other
from
corner.
That angle, maybe this one.
And if you see where it ended up, at least from that vantage point, it looked like the stick was below, and it looks like it's actually Malone on the deflection. That's a tough one to call, but again, you're using stick, puck, line of demarcation, the crossbar of the net. So,
and a review now that's taken upwards of 2 minutes.
And it was called a goal.
Yes.
At ice level, so it has to be conclusive to overturn it.
Sergei Gonchar sent it on the way. Gonchar already with a couple of assists this evening, the highest scoring defender in the Eastern Conference.
They've done a nice job against Bruce Boudreau's penalty killers, mixing it up without Crosby. Have the pens. Referees waiting for a verdict.
See if we can enhance your point of view with the NHL on Versus. Watch the spot shadow.
There's Ryan Malone. He's already set a nifty screen on one goal tonight. That seemed like it was deflected up. From that vantage point, to me, it looks like a good goal.
If that's the look, you would say that Malone's blade was below the height of the crossbar when
Correct,
he hit it.
because the puck went up
Correct.
under the bar, so that means, by definition, it had to be below the crossbar, the stick that is. If you follow me, Joe.
I'm with you.
Look at how much room. Nobody challenging Gonchar. That's problematic to begin with, just from a defensive standpoint.
It's a Washington team that's not been taking a lot of penalties, but despite that, their penalty killing hasn't been all that good. If this one stands, it's 3 power play goals on the night. Sergei Gonchar beat the Capitals here in overtime in late December.
The Caps, that would be just the kind of turn of events that they've had. Gonchar getting it to the net. Mike Terrian's crew finding a way against the Caps time and time again. That's a close one. That still could go either way in my mind, Joe.
As they continue to deliberate, here's another point of view. That's the tip. The ricochet winds up in the net, and Kolzig immediately thought it was too high. Referee Kozari about to button up. Apparently he's got a conclusive word. Count it.
And I think Bruce Boudreau, when you saw the Malone tip and the puck went up and still was underneath the crossbar, gives you all the data that you really need. NHL does this better than anyone in my mind.
With the great Mario Lemieux looking on, Bruce Boudreau continues to offer his protest to referee Mike Hasenfratz. Boudreau and the Caps, once this one is through, will make their way to Toronto. They've got a home-and-home with the Maple Leafs before the All-Star break. Ryan Malone and his wife are expecting their first child in early February. Malone, just a goal in January. Should this one count, you can make it 2 for him if it's his. And the Penguins, with the 3 man advantage goals, getting themselves back out in front.
The Pittsburgh.
That's the kind of house of horrors this has been, though, for the Caps. Score, take the lead. No, penalty. One off the board. Immediate result on the power play against. Now they find themselves down a goal yet again.
The Capitals have lost 7 straight meetings with the Penguins here. The last time they beat Pittsburgh in this building, December of 2002. Mike Green tying up Jarkko Ruutu in the corner. Plenty of time to go in regulation of a high-scoring NHL game on Versus. Green locked up by Scuderi. He threw it right to a waiting Alex Ovechkin, trying to use the net to pass that one to himself. And the Penguins said, "Get out of here."
You don't think this is ending 5-4, do you?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I think we got at least 2 more to go. Ovechkin rattled there by Malkin. If you missed it earlier in the contest, those two have been going after each other like rams on the scoreboard and physically on the ice. Ovechkin deking away from a defender. Lost the handle. Help comes from Boyd Gordon. Ovechkin relays for Gordon again. Off the cycle, Semin over skates. Even in full strength, 5-on-5, 6.5 gone by in the third. Alex Semin with a penalty call coming up against Pittsburgh. Kolzig's on the bench. Semin playing keep away. Backside wrister. Good save. Follow-up chance. A diving Conklin cut over. And he got plenty of help. When we come back with the NHL on Versus, the Washington Capitals will have a power play looking for the equalizer. And from our net cam, Conklin to the rescue.
As well as
Evgeny Malkin sits in the sin bin. Penguins have the lead 5-4. This was his trip.
Pressure in the zone, and he comes in on Ovechkin, and they've had a thing going on all night long. Ovechkin tried to separate Malkin from the puck, from this universe at the end of the first period.
It's made for great viewing on Versus tonight. Ovechkin and Green work the points. Backstrom, Kozlov, Semin across the top in white for Washington. Ryan Malone, who has the lead goal for the moment, is out there as a penalty killer. This is offside against DC. Malone, Scuderi, Gonchar, and Stahl to protect Conklin. One man down.
Malone not the fleetest of foot, but long, rangy reach, but also very smart in his positioning. That's why he's out there on the PK.
Pittsburgh has won 7 of 10 against the Southeast Division, the group in which Washington resides.
And there are people out there saying, who hasn't? Southeast being derided right now, but say what you will, somebody's going to come out of there as a third seed. And the Caps have clawed themselves back into it. Alexander Ovechkin leading the way. Now, I think if it continues, don't you have to consider Alexander Ovechkin for MVP?
Without a doubt.
I mean,
Without a doubt. His numbers, should he stay in good health, would be astronomical.
I think Jerome McGinley is my pick right now at the halfway point. He's just done everything. He may not be the only offensive option they have, but with all the extra attention he gets, and it's so hard to find space in the Western Conference. It's dominated by big defensemen.
Would you give a nod at all to Roberto Luongo in Vancouver?
A little bit of one. I mean, he's got a little more support, I think, up front than Iginla does in his situation in Calgary. I think Iginla's just been fabulous this year.
Backstrom on the move, crisscrossing with Alex Semin. Semin skips a man for Green, winds and fires, deflection right to Conklin, and he'll cover that up in routine style.
How about Ty Conklin? Let's hear it for the journeyman. Leading the way, Manny Legacy. 34 years old, first All-Star appearance. Conklin falls into that category with Tim Thomas in Boston. All these guys resurrecting their careers, getting opportunities, making the most of them.
Chris Osgood on that list, I'm sure, if you were thinking that
That's
way.
right. Ozzy signing a new 3-year contract because of his fine first half.
Ovechkin fires, Conklin denies, then makes the poke check. It's loose. It bounced over the blade. Follow-up chance, Conklin again. He stonewalled Ovechkin.
How about the guys we just mentioned? They're not exactly technicians either, and Conklin just showed it. Just stop the puck, baby.
So many of the good young goalies are known as mechanics for the way they move around the crease.
These guys are just finding a way to stop the puck. And Conklin, side stroke as we went to break, came up with one there, twisted sideways, but stayed with the play.
Green steadily through center. Surrounded. And the penalty killers do the job. Sergei Gonchar sends Washington back. 11.5 to go, regulation time. 5-4 for Pittsburgh. Fleischmann carving in off the boards. Lost it there. Talbot challenged him swiftly. Green around Ruutu. And then nicely around Talbot. Fires a blocker pad save. Along the boards, Fleischmann will turn the pens back as they get to even strength. The outlet for Talbot. Tried to steer it along for Evgeny Malkin. Malkin waiting on the line so that his team's not offside. Michel Therrien will change him up on the go. 9 minutes played in the third. Hody's lead off the toe of the blade of Alex Semin. Ow, referee went down in a heap. That is Steve Kazari, who is just now picking himself off the ice. And he's coming to the box with a penalty call.
Is that the guy who hit him? Semin with the slew foot. Is that what it was? I think it was delay of game. Conklin up and out of play. Up and over Kazari. I believe that was the call. Filowich, the designated sitter.
Jonathan Filowich making his NHL debut, 23-year-old Kelowna, BC, Canada native.
Pittsburgh penalty, number 35.
Ryan Whitney zips it off the boards, not out. Semin fires, that was deflected. Washington getting a chance on the power play to knock the score at 5. Nicholas Backstrom choosing Victor Kozlov. They keep it on the perimeter for Green. Organized for Ovechkin. Bounced loose. And Jordan Stahl will send it away.
Long reach of Stahl. Another one, not real fast, but an excellent penalty killer.
How many games have you seen a 5-4 score when the team's being outshot 26-13? Pittsburgh has just 13 shots on goal in this one. Route 2 clears.
I guess we call that making the most of your opportunities, Joe, to say the least.
Washington team's been able to bail itself out with all the scoring they've done lately. They've got 4 goals again on the board. That's 5 straight games for the first time since March of 01. Where the Capitals team has done that. Fleischmann scoops it into the corner. They're going to need 5 or more to get out of here with a win. As this one is sent in and whistled down.
Fleischmann has one of the 4, but 4 is just for a fun factor. As you mentioned, won't get them anything tonight. They're going to have to do more than that. Still plenty of time. 9:42. Where the puck has been going in. Expect Fleischmann. Think about a kid like Fleischmann. Confidence shown by Coach Bruce Boudreau. Playing him in those kinds of situations to come through.
Bruce Boudreau, when he was at the American Hockey League level with Hershey, would say that Thomas Fleischmann was his Ovechkin, the most skilled player in the league.
And you can see it with Fleischmann. When he has a game like tonight where he scores early, he seems to stay with it a little bit more than when things don't go his way early.
Ovechkin to the front, deflection try, and Fleischmann, who has all 6 goals this season at even strength, trying for a power play marker right now. Brooks Light forced to the boards. Conklin's delay of game penalty another 25 seconds. And Stahl will clear. Ovechkin deliberately out of his own zone. Hearing the Bluebirds in Pittsburgh. Light tumbles it behind the Pens net. Scuderi reversed it well. And Talbot moves on back with Evgeny Malkin. Evgeny Malkin and Alex Ovechkin each with 2-goal games working. The lead goal provided by Ryan Malone, a deflection here in the 3rd. Malkin ripped off Pody. Malkin, nice pass. Talbot fires. That not a lot of starch on it.
Malkin at his own blue line. Perfect position defensively. Quick, active stick. And then a good decision on the pass across.
Talbot leads it on out there for Sikora. Pulls it. Peppers it away from Christensen. Yurchina lined up. Schultz backtracking. A whistle and stoppage in play with 8:10 to go. We'll have more on a new building in Pittsburgh in a moment.
Penguins up 5-4 as we are inside Mellon Arena, the oldest building in the NHL. But folks, that's all about to change as you look outside just across the street from Mellon Arena. Demolition is set to begin on the St. Francis Central Hospital site to make way for the Penguins' new arena, slated to open in time for the 2010-2011 season. Hard to believe Mellon Arena was built for $22 million. The budget for the new building, $290 million. Guys, players' salaries aren't the only thing that have gone up over the years, Joe.
Ain't that the truth? We are inside Mellon Arena, 66 Mario Lemieux Place, where tonight the Pittsburgh Penguins have a 5-4 lead over their friends from Washington, D.C. The Penguins won 26 times at Mellon Arena last year. That was more than the previous 2 seasons combined. Pettinger for Erskine. Rister on the way, weakened by Larocque. Larocque didn't get it out. Erskine delivers for Light. Crowded immediately by Orpik. Brooks Light finds the open man. It's Green. Hatchets one towards the front. Deflected by Brashear. Donald Brashear throws the stiff arm out. Erskine holds onto it. Nice play by Larocque defensively, and he'll put it back onto the Washington side.
That really was. He didn't buy the fake. And then Larocque was able to stay in the passing lane.
Joe Beninati, Darren Elliott, Chris Simpson with you. The NHL on Versus. Down the stretch we go. 7 minutes to play in the 3rd. We are available in high definition tonight from Mellon Arena. Nicholas Backstrom. Another big game for the rookie. Hits the brakes. Plays it on back in the direction of Steve Eminger, and it's put off the rink.
Penguins wish a special
Face off to come in the offensive zone. Washington had the upper hand in terms of face-offs in the opening period. It's one of the things Evgeny Malkin doesn't do all that well, win draws.
No, he doesn't. That's why in many situations they opt out. And here they come with Jordan Staal, who is much better in the face-off circle than Malkin. But that is a deficiency, and that's one of the reasons why he's on the wing oftentimes when Sidney Crosby's in the lineup.
Just scanning the stat sheet right off this draw. Conklin makes the stop on Ovechkin. Malkin is below 38% at the dot.
And you saw what happened there. Staal got tossed. Talbot had to take the draw. He lost it, and they get a quality scoring chance as a result. Face-off, very underrated part of the game of hockey, becoming more and more crucial in today's game. Puck possession, so hard to generate scoring chances. You have to start with the puck. You want to have the puck more often. Sounds obvious, but it all starts in the face-off circle.
Through two. Tapped there by Backstrom. Cody checking the rear view mirror. There's Jordan Staal jumping in. Arm barred there by Pody, and a penalty coming. A penalty call comes. We'll tell you who's guilty before we go back to Hockey Central and Bill. Bill, thanks very much. I'm sort of wondering how Bill and Keith and Brian felt about that Karate Kid marathon lead-in to our show on Versus. There's a lot of Miyagi-san going on today.
Very nice. I like the sell by Bill on the plays of the week, the top 10. I wonder if the Rick Nash goal factor into that.
Got to be a little Rick Nash in there, right?
I think so. In the studio will keep you up to date on all that. There's lots of great plays to choose from.
Staal in the penalty box for Pittsburgh. Washington has the power play. Looking to tie it at 5 with 5:48 to go in the third period. Alex Semin to point position for Ovechkin. Ovechkin had a 4-goal game earlier this season on the road. It came in Ottawa. It was the first of his career. He's got 2 tonight. Semin, nice pass. Conklin got over there as they tried to find Green lying in the weeds.
Good read by Conklin. You're right. He made a real strong push, Joe.
Fleischman digs it off the boards. Green to the shooting channel for Ovechkin's one-timer. Too high and way wide, for that matter. Sheltarian trying to change some penalty killers as Fleischman works in. It's offside against the Capitals.
Brooks Laich, hard worker in the trenches on the power play. Not really sure what that's all about, but again, he's an honest worker, guy that can set a screen, work the wall. Lots of teams that like to put the 5 best offensive players out there. I don't think Brooks Laich fits that category, but again, with Bruce Boudreau being comfortable with a lot of these guys from the American Hockey League, he views them a little bit differently than maybe their original reputations may have been. Certainly the case with Mike Green. He just wants to carry that puck in, make things happen, power play and even strength.
Pettinger is out there with Kozlov and Backstrom up front. Ovechkin and Green work the blue line. Mike Green settles it down. Bouncing puck, he'll get it to cooperate for Pettinger. Good strip by Ryan Whitney. Around the wall, but not out. 30 seconds left in the power play for the Caps. Backstrom never rushes things. To the front, Kozlov scores! 5-5.
This is not a night to be a goaltender, as we've said. The plays have been fabulous. Kozlov perfectly positioned. The feed again, magnificent. Dangling and dishing and finishing. You like your goal scoring pretty. You've loved this one so far, and I don't think we're done.
Victor Kozlov has to be a great sign for Washington fans. Back-to-back 2-goal games for the 13-year pro. And brand new are we with 4:25 to go in this third period. Orpik tries to shuffleboard that one into the corner. Lang makes the intercept. David Steckel for Quinton Lang. around the Steckel pick. Christensen jabbed him down to the deck. Matt Bradley working the cycle. Orpik goes to the boards. David Steckel pulls the trigger. Ty Conklin made the stick save. Schultz loads it up and bombs it off of Filowich. Orpik able to get it back to neutral ice. We leak below 4 minutes to go in regulation time. 5-5 between these two. 5 of the last 6 games between the Penguins and Caps have been 1-goal decisions. Pittsburgh's managed to win them all.
Wow. So far, that part of the script has been written. And we're following it.
Fleischmann rink wide, closing in. Semin drills it, and it's a glove save for Conklin. 3:26 to go in the third. Don't move now.
The NHL on Versus is brought to you by Captain Morgan Original Spiced Rum. Drink responsibly. Captain's orders.
A wild one in Pittsburgh racing to its conclusion. Since the Thanksgiving holidays, these 3 Caps have been firing.
They certainly have. Second most by a D-man. Mike Green, a real surprise. The youngster, big things expected of him. He's delivering as of late. Alexander Ovechkin, you can't say much more. It's been instant gratification in D.C. ever since he arrived.
Nicklas Backstrom, who idolizes Peter Forsberg, has put up assist numbers in the last 2 games that would make even the great Forsberg blush. He's got back-to-back 4 assist games. It's number 19 in white for Washington.
And he doesn't do it with a burst.
Malone, sharp angle, blocked by Erskine, and put off the rink.
Game like this, analysts beware. Every time you talk, there's a scoring chance coming your way. Great for you fans out there here on Versus. Malone, knowing he had an opportunity. Malkin has been all over the ice, creating. Peter Sikora, when he visited with Chris between periods, said every time he's on the ice, something good happens offensively. That's continued right here to the end.
2 teams dealing with injury-depleted lineups. Michel Therrien said it looked like training camp at the outset of the day here for the Penguins with all the recalls up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Wrist shot coming. It was sailed wide by Jarkko Ruutu. These 2 teams have provided a very entertaining hockey game with the NHL on Versus, and 2:40 to go in regulation.
Only ones who haven't liked it, coaches and goalies. Everybody else, to a person, loving it.
Light triggers it in there deep, then goes after Scuderi. He hot puts it around the net, makes a sharp-looking outlet pass for Talbot. Jordan Stahl ran right into the veteran John Erskine, and Ovechkin clamps onto it. His pass, collected by Kozlov. Mike Green joins the rush. Mauled there by Whitney. Sador. Last time these 2 teams met in this building, it was Sador who tied it very late and led to a Pittsburgh OT win. Steckel will drive it into the corner. Sador picking up Whitney. Out there for Filowich, and he'll tip it in. Schultz, away from the advancing Christensen. Right up the gut for David Steckel. He let it come on through. Caps in the middle of a change. Quinton Lang and Matt Bradley go in there like bloodhounds to the boards. 1:30 to go in regulation time. 5-all in Pittsburgh. Cody carefully for Gordon. Penguins making a line change. Sador got it onto the Washington side for just a second. Green had to delay, and he didn't wait long enough, and the officials are going to say offside. Nicklas Backstrom had 4 assists in a Washington win against Florida back on Saturday. He's duplicated that tonight.
And look what that means. In NHL history, first ever to do it. 2 primaries, 2 secondary assists. It all adds up to 4 quietly. He does it quietly. Not explosive, but as you, the great term you use, Joe, no panic point. Doesn't get ruffled with the puck. Never senses that he has to make a play too soon, and just 20 years of age.
Sergei Gonchar on the Pittsburgh side out there now. High-scoring defender. He has 3 helpers in this game. 55 in the black. Coughed it up there to Matt Pettinger. Final minute of regulation play. Sikora, who has tallied tonight Into space for Malkin. Evgeny Malkin working wide. Finished off there by Erskine. Malkin, great pass, but in good position was Pettinger. On the fly, it's Ovechkin 2-on-3. Ovechkin, shouldered by Sergei Gonchar. 30 seconds left in the third.
They each took one rush each. Malkin at one end, defended well. Ovechkin defended well by Sergei Gonchar.
Bradley knocked it down. The puck was played with a high stick. The faceoff will be outside Pittsburgh territory. Evgeny Malkin catching his breath. He's been busy tonight. Malkin has 2 goals and an assist. Ovechkin on the evening, 2 goals and an assist as they go head-to-head in their rivalry.
60 minutes. Looks like we're headed for bonus hockey. 4-on-4 with all that extra ice. Yeah, hard to believe that you're going to go beyond that.
7 seconds with which to work for Schultz. Whitney punched it back to neutral zone. And that'll be it for 60 minutes of regulation time. 5-5 in the Steel City.
Couple goals by Victor Kozlov. Last time here, so here it was. Tied up. Last time these teams hooked up. Overtime. Sidney Crosby to Sergei Gonchar. Find a way yet again, did the pen.
Sergei Gonchar, the longtime Capital defender, 5-time All-Star who led the Caps in defensive scoring 7 times, involved in a heated battle with Washington in a game that requires overtime on Versus. Tonight's NHL Overtime is presented by Las Vegas. Take the action out of the rink. Only Vegas. Overtime guaranteed.
I need all of you.
Ty Conklin
What you're doing.
will have the game on his shoulders. In the nets for Pittsburgh, Ole Kolzig at the opposite end. The Caps veteran netminder with 6 wins in his last 9 decisions. The overtime records this season, the Capitals picking up the pace, the Penguins below break even. Each of these teams has earned a point in the standings by virtue of the 5-5 draw through 60 minutes. And the big house at Mellon Arena gets loud, hoping that their Pens will strike first.
10 goals, 44 shots on goal. Ovechkin, Malkin, and the rest. Fans are loving it. As we talk about, fans of all ages standing and cheering the offensive exploits of both these teams. But as I said, 4-on-4, the configuration in overtime, you'd have to imagine the goalies are going to be busy. There's going to be some quality scoring chances.
2 teams that are more and more starting to look like each other. Michelle Therrien said Washington's been in the same situation as Pittsburgh for years, and now some of their top draft picks are starting to get it. They knew it was just a matter of time before the team in white would be a good one. As Kozlov works in, offside Caps.
Well, Backstrom certainly, Victor Kozlov, a nice add. When you talk about the youngsters, Mike Green. I mean, so suddenly these young players that were first-round picks starting to get it, and they're starting to gel, growing together collectively. And that's exactly what we saw with the Pittsburgh Penguins a year ago. And I think that's what he was speaking to, the similarities between the 2 franchises.
Just 14 shots on goal for the Penguins, the fewest they've had in a single game this year. Up until now. Kozlov spins. Pody activates. This is the longest Pody has gone into a season without a goal for himself. This is the 39th game he's played this year. Jordan Staal carving out wide. Staal hooks off. Help coming from Sikora. Staal protecting it well. Scuderi for Gonchar, the overtime hero here in December. Sikora fires through the screen. He missed the mark. There's a penalty call coming. It's going against the Capitals. Conklin's on his way to the bench. As it's touched up, referee Hasenkratz says slashing against the Caps.
Washington goal, over 3, 2 minutes for crossing.
Pody with the slash. And lots of times, that's a penalty because you're tired. Don't forget he was at the far end. He was at the far end offensively. Had to come back and play some hard minutes against Jordan Stahl. Pody in the box. Stahl looking like vintage Wayne Cashman along the wall. He's a centerman, always has been a centerman, never played wing except a little bit last year, and yet he looks so comfortable working along the boards.
In the overtime, this is 4-on-3. Pittsburgh already has 3 power play goals in the game. Kenny Malkin feathers it into the corner. Erskine double teamed along the boards. Malkin breaks loose, storming back behind the net. Ridden to the corner by Erskine. Another penalty call coming. Letang fumbled it. Good effort to keep it alive. This is 5-on-3 because Conklin's on the bench. In overtime, going for the win. Letang, Gonchar fires, blocked by Quinton Lang. Sprawling to give up his body there.
No possession, so Pittsburgh still has it, no whistle.
Evgeny Malkin lowering the shoulder, wrapped up by Steckel. And still no possession until now, when it will be 5-on-3 for 67 seconds. Yes. You don't play 4-on-2 in overtime.
No, you go back to a 2-man advantage. There's the hook. Erskine wouldn't relent. The hook on the hip. Boudreau, passionate, impassioned, and he knows his team is in a tough spot. But again, 4-on-4 is the overtime configuration in the NHL.
Timeout.
When you get 2 penalties like the Caps have, you go back to adding a person, make it a 5-on-3 or 2-man advantage.
Darren Elliott one more time. Let's revisit Alex Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin head-to-head in this struggle tonight.
We started at the top of the show. Malkin started the battle with a backhand bid in the first. Beautiful wrister in the second. The big hit, Ovechkin on Malkin. Then the little chip shot on the by Ovechkin, then the one-timer rocket by Ovechkin. Same spot for both those goals by Ovechkin. Malkin has been a force and a factor every time on the ice. Ovechkin gets to his spot, finds the back of the net twice. They haven't disappointed. Disappointing right now for Caps fans. 5-on-3, Penguins in overtime.
The last time Pittsburgh beat Washington 7 straight times, 1988. They turn on the red light here. It will be 7 straight decisions for them. Evgeny Malkin, outside. Whitney straightens it up for Sergei Gonchar. Gonchar bluffed the one-timer. David Steckel was in the way. Whitney switching sides. To the front, deflected. Over top of Kolzig's net. Gonchar steps in and fires, blocked by Steckel. 5-on-3, 35 more seconds. 5-on-3 power play for the Penguins. 30 ticks now. Whitney delaying. Gonchar on the outside. Evgeny Malkin to the front. That was blocked. Gonchar being encouraged to shoot it by the fans. 20 seconds to go in the 5-on-3. Letang for Gonchar. Whitney's next. Malkin repositions. 10 seconds in the 5-on-3. Malkin bombs away, blocked again by Lang. Malkin blocked one more time by Lang. Whitney, sharp angle, nothing there. Letang speeds into the corner, plays it back on top. It's 5-on-4 now for Pittsburgh. 45 seconds, 1:50 to go in OT. Chris Letang, 20-year-old, for Sikora. Point position, Whitney. Ryan Whitney, backside look, too hot to handle for Malkin. Loose in front, they jam at it. Kolzig scrambles, and the Caps come to help. Conklin looking for the long lead on through Malkin. Icing will be washed out. The Caps will get John Erskine back in 20 seconds.
What an effort by the penalty killers, sacrificing their bodies to a man in front of Olaf Kolzig to block shots.
Quinton Lang is an expert at that, and he showed it off there at a critical juncture in this game in overtime.
We know who the third goalie is on the Caps. Quinton Lang, if they ever got to that situation.
Start fitting him for equipment. Yerchina into the corner. The power play over. Washington survives a 5-on-3 for more than a minute in sudden death.
Stunning.
Like drilled at the bench. A heavy-duty hit. Brooks Like now just shaking off the cobwebs. Ryan Malone railed him. 45 seconds in overtime. Jordan Stahl glides along. Stahl, poke check by Green. Kozlov, who has a pair of tallies tonight, played it to the center stripe.
And it's still 5-on-5 now, but until they sort it out at the whistle. Even though it's overtime, they're playing it full and even strength.
Good call, Darren. Should there be a whistle, they would revert back to 4-on-4. Victor Kozlov with 25 seconds left in OT. Ovechkin working down the alleyway. Gonchar kept him at bay. Talbot will dump it in. 16 seconds left in the overtime. Green on the headman. Semin knifing through defenders. Alex Semin's wrister weakened. Into the corner, there's Ovechkin to the front. On patrol is Sador. 5 seconds now, 4. Tafe launches one from center. Kolzig no worries with that. And this game will require a shootout on Versus. 65 minutes done. Ovechkin's done his part. They'll go to the shootout when you return to Pittsburgh on Versus. .5-5 Washington and Pittsburgh in the Steel City in PA on a chilly night. Come on inside Mellon Arena and enjoy tonight's NHL shootout presented by Las Vegas. Take the action out of the rink. Only Vegas. Overtime guaranteed.
Maybe it's only fitting this one ends in a shootout. All we know for sure is that this one is going to end up 6-5. Kolzig, Conklin playing for the bonus point in the standings.
Kolzig, who is recently magical for the Capitals in a shootout. They beat Edmonton, a team that had won 11 times in a shootout. Kolzig made 12 straight saves. Christensen will lead off. The home team has the right to pick whether or not they want to shoot first, and Christensen is a man of a million moves. Very strong in the shootout as he works in wide. Christensen to get it started, and he misfires.
What's he ever? 13 for 21 coming in. Olaf Kolzig continues battling.
First shooter for Washington, number 25.
Victor Kozlov, who had 2 goals during the regulation time, 50% in the shootout. Moves in deliberately against Ty Conklin. Tries to go 5-hole, and Conklin slammed the door.
Where do they teach that move? Poke check. Poke check, pad stack by Conklin. Save, nonetheless.
Chris Letang on the season, Darren, is 4 for 5 in the shootout.
Rookie defenseman, great skater.
If I'm not mistaken, he has a little Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby motorcycle kick in the middle of his favorite move. Wandering in on Kolzig. Deeks to the backhand and hits the post.
He had Olaf Kolzig as he was meandering in.
Next shooter for Washington.
But Kolzig will take the break. Didn't get any in the game. That one off the crossbar.
Alex Ovechkin in his career, 30% on the season, 0 for 2. Hearing it from the fans inside the igloo. Ovechkin to the backhand. He scores!
And Ovechkin makes it
Forced it home. Not often he goes to the backhand.
37, Yarko.
You can tell Conklin wasn't ready for it.
Jarkko Ruutu with a shootout on his stick. He must score to keep this one going. Ruutu straight up the gut on Kolzig. Backhand, he scores! Jarkko Ruutu.
A specialist of sorts. Made it look relatively easy. Olaf Kolzig didn't think that Ruutu had that in his repertoire.
Now Alexander Semin with a tremendous stick skills. Has not been good at the shootout. He can win it here, though, and he does! Alex Semin on the deep, and the Capitals pour off the bench to celebrate a 6-5 thriller.
They picked up something. Another guy who's a great shooter goes to the backhand, and Conklin both times on that one, and Ovechkin reaching instead of pushing.
The Washington Capitals end a long losing skid against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ole Kolzig and friends celebrate 6-5. It's time to go back to Hockey Central. Bill, Keith, and Brian on Versus.